Please publish this in your paper next. You must have heard of Solapur in western India and Madura and South India. These towns emerged as important new centers of weaving in the late 19th century. Later, during the national movement, Mahatma Gandhi urged people to boycott imported textiles and use hand-spun and hand-woven cloth. Khadi gradually became a symbol of nationalism. The charkha came to represent India and it was put at the center of the tricolor flag of the Indian National Congress adopted in 1931. Next, what happened to the weavers and spinners who lost their livelihood? Many weavers became agricultural laborers. Some migrated to cities in search of work, and yet others went out of the country to work and plantations in Africa and South America. Some of these handloom weavers also found work in the new cotton mills that were established in Bombay, now Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Solapur, Nagpur, and Kanpur. Next, cotton mills come up. The first cotton mill in India was set up as a spinning mill in Bombay in 1854. From the early 19th century, Bombay had grown as an important port for the export of raw cotton from India to England and China. It was close to the West Black Soil tract of western India where cotton was grown. When the cotton textile mills came up, they could get supplies of raw material with us. Next, most workers in the spinning departments were women, while workers in the weaving departments were mostly men. Next, by 1991, over 84 mills started operating in Bombay. Many of these were established by Farsi and Gujarati businessmen who had made their money through trade with China. Next, mill came up in other cities too. The first mill in Ahmedabad was started in 1861. A year later, a mill was established in Kanpur in the United Province. Growth of cotton mills led to a demand for labor. Next, thousands of poor peasants, artisans, and agricultural laborers moved to the cities to work in the mills. In the first few decades of in extents, the textile factory industries in India faced many problems. Next, it found it difficult to compete with the cheap textiles imported from Britain. In most countries, governments supported industrializations by imposing heavy duties on imports. The eliminated competition and protected infant industries. The colonial government is in India usually refused such protection to local industries. Next, the first major spread in the development of cotton factory production in India, therefore, was during the First World War when textile imports and Britain declined and Indian factories were called upon to produce cloth for military supplies. And next, the sword of Tipu Sultan and the woods steel. We began the story of Indian steel and iron metallurgy by recounting the famous story of Tipu Sultan who ruled Mysore till 1799, fought 4 wars with the British and died fighting with his sword in his hand. Tipu's legendary swords are now parts of valuable collections in museums in England. But do you know why the sword was too special? The sword had to incredibly hard and sharp edge that could easily rip through the opponent's armor. Next, this quality of the sword came from a special type of high carbon steel called woods, which was produced all over South India. Woods steel, when made into swords, produced a very sharp edge with a flowing water pattern. This pattern came from very small carbon crystals embedded in the iron. Next, Francis Bachchan, who toured through Mysore in 18, a year after Tipu Sultan's death, has left us in account of the technique by which wood steel was produced in many hundred of smelting furnaces in Mysore. In these furnaces, iron was mixed with charcoal and put inside small clay pots through an intricate control of temperatures. The smelter produced steel ingots that were used for sword making not just in India but in West and Central Asia too. Woods in the variation of the Kannada word uku, Telugu huku, and Tamil and Malayalam urku, meaning steel. Next, Indian woods steel. European scientist Michael Faraday, the legendary and scientist and discoverer of electricity and electromagnetism, spent 4 years studying the properties of Indian woods 1880 to 22. However, the woods steel making process, which was so widely known in South India, was completely lost by the mid 19th century. Next, can you guess why this was so? The sword and armor making industries died with the conquest of India by the British, and imports of iron and steel from England displaced the iron and steel produced by the craftspeople of India. Next, production of woods steel required a highly specialized technique of refining iron, but iron smelting in India was extremely common till the end of the 19th century. In Bihar and central India, in particular, every district had smelter that used local disposed and deposits of ore to produce iron, which was the widely used for the manufacture of implements and tools of daily use. The furnaces were most often built of clay and sun-dried bricks. The smelting was done by men who often worked in the below, pumping air that kept the charcoal and the burning. Next,